only does it affect consumers, but it also affects small businesses. They're going to have those costs as well. It's going to trickle down.
It seems like you're working off of
now, in regards to,
okay, what is Harris's plan? We're waiting.
Okay, there's a lot of aspects to it in regards to looking at it online. So let's talk about lowering the grocery costs, because that's something that's brought up. The viewers can look at this online. She talks about certain things in regards to advancing the first federal ban on price gouging on food and groceries, to set clear rules to the road to make it clear that big corporations can't unfairly exploit consumers as well.
Is that happening? Is that happening?
It's not at this moment. No, this is her plan that's laid out for the first 100 days when she becomes president of the United States of America.
Gouging, is that currently happening?
In regards to I don't know exactly if that's currently happening or not, because I'm not privy to that type of information. Okay. But there are people are costing a lot of money in regards to groceries.
Okay. It seems like you're having a hard time articulating her plan. And
honestly, that's not true. Please, I'm constantly being interrupted by you, which as a woman, I think is disrespectful. When I'm trying to speak, every time I try and speak, you speak over me.
Okay. Final thought.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. I was giving you time there. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate you joining us. It is
Talk about a humiliating implosion. The Harris campaign has asked a simple, straightforward question like, well, what specifically is her plan? And her surrogates go into a full meltdown. And we now have the first admission from the Democrat that their mail-in ballot campaign has collapsed. That's the exact word she used. Wait until you see this. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you stay sane in these insane times. So you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. And do you know what else I want you to do? I want you to join me in a celebration. Now, last week, my brand new book, Fight! How Trump and the MAGA movement are changing the world, hit the #1 bestseller on Amazon in 2 different categories. I'm so thankful to all of you who went and pre-ordered the book, and I want to show that gratitude to you. So I'm hosting a live online virtual book launch on October 2nd. It's completely free, but you do have to register. And as a token of my gratitude for all of you pre-ordered my book, I want to give you a gift. I mean, heck, even if you didn't pre-order, if you just go and register for my book launch event, as soon as you RSVP, I'll give you the introduction to the book absolutely free. You'll get it sent right to your inbox, so you got nothing to lose. Click on that link or scan the QR code on the screen and go RSVP now. This book launch event is going to be absolutely amazing. Again, it's a free online event. You can enjoy it from the comfort of your own couch, as it were. And I'm going to teach you the things that not only changed my life, but the lives of so many amazing patriots all over the world. And that really, in the end, is the core of my new book. The MAGA movement is changing the world, all as we're being transformed and changed in the process. And if you understand that, it's going to absolutely embolden you and impassion you as we head on into November. So this is what I want you to do. Click on that link in the description below or scan the QR code on the screen. Go RSVP for this free online event, then immediately get the intro for free as my gift to you. I can't wait to see all of you on October 2nd. It's going to be awesome. With just 40 plus days to go before the big day, we've been reporting on the 3 overall dynamics that together give us a very good sense of the state of this campaign. We talked about these 3 dynamics on last night's live stream. So, of course, we got the polls, we've got voter registration trends, and we've got early voting. And the key here is that if we overlap these 3 data sets, the polls, the voter registrations, and the early voting, we can try to discern whether there's a pattern that's common to all 3. And like we talked about last night, there is. There is indeed a pattern emerging. And that pattern is that everything, literally everything, is trending red. This is what Eric Doherty, the polling analyst, tweeted out last night. Guys, the trend everywhere is just red. Mail-in requests and early voting. Virginia, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Florida. These things don't just happen in a vacuum. Rules in Virginia are blowing up in turnout compared to blue counties. Not going to just happen in one state. In other words, no matter what data set we look at, the polls, voter registration, or early voting, it's all swinging right. The polls show Trump is stronger than he's ever been, all the while the Democrat is weaker than they've ever been against him. Kamala, maybe +4, +5 in some of these national puff polls. It doesn't matter. Biden and Hillary were +10 in the same polls at this time in the respective races. Republicans have been out-registering Democrats by far in every single state in the nation, for the one exception of Colorado. They're too stoned to know the difference. And now we got the early voting. And everywhere we look, everywhere, so we're talking Virginia, Pennsylvania, Florida, North Carolina, the Democrats are down and the Republicans are up from where they were in 2020. And so now we've got a Democrat admitting that their early voting advantage has completely collapsed. Now, this is a Florida Democrat. Her name is Barbie Hardin Hall. She just tweeted this out, quote, "Why did mail-in ballot requests collapse? Well, maybe because the Republicans passed a law, again in Florida, that you have to renew your request every cycle. Most Floridians don't know the law changed and are expecting their mail-in ballots to arrive as they used to each election." Yeah, right. To which Eric Doherty couldn't help but comment, so you're worried that your party's mail-in ballot requests collapsed because voters didn't request them. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. Sure, our mail-in ballot requests have collapsed, but that's only because the Republicans are making our voters have to request them. Now, if you're able to make sense of that, you're doing a lot better than I am, that's for sure. Regardless, that admission, I think, is a harbinger of things to come. The admissions, the excuse-making, the finger-pointing have all begun. Republicans are absolutely fired up. They're out there voting already in record numbers. We're talking double, triple what they were voting in 2020 at this time. And frankly, the Democrats have started to reduce themselves to excuse-making and finger-pointing. And boy, there's going to be a lot of that. And that's because, as we talked about last night, we now have reports that the Kamala campaign's own internal polling has her down 4 in Pennsylvania. Barris and Barnes were talking about this yesterday on Rich Barris's Inside the Numbers live broadcast. Trump's own internal polling shows him up 3 in Pennsylvania. Now, as I understand it, that could be about it. That's going to be the margin, 3 or 4 points at tops. Pennsylvania is close, no question. But we have both the Trump campaign and the Harris campaign confirming that the margin belongs to Trump. That 3 or 4 point margin by which Pennsylvania will be won is being won by Trump. And one of the fundamental reasons for why Harris is so woefully underperforming in Pennsylvania is because of just how badly she's hemorrhaging the working class vote. We talk about this all the time, but here's the latest. Take a look at this poll of Teamster Union members in the key swing states, the battleground states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania, the so-called blue wall. These states were once solidly blue because there is an inordinately high number of working class voters in these states. But these voters have since 2016 begun more and more defecting to Trump. Not so much the Republican Party. We found that out the hard and painful way in 2022. But they are defecting to Trump. And these 3 states of Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania are starting to vote to the right, however slightly, of the national polling. Now, look at the difference between working class support for Biden when he was the nominee versus working class support for Kamala Harris. This is stunning. This is about as stark as it gets. When Biden was on the ticket in Wisconsin, he was getting an astounding 74% support among Teamster union members. Remember, Teamster unions, about 1.3 million members, very, very significant. He was getting 74% support. Look at that support now. It's dropped by more than 30 points. In fact, it's not just that Kamala has dropped 30 points. It's also at the same time that we're seeing an over 40-point swing to Trump. Take a look at Michigan. Same picture. Biden was polling 58% to Trump's 32% among Teamsters. Now Trump is crushing Harris 62 to 35. It's almost exactly like the Teamsters' own national poll that they did. And take a look at Pennsylvania, the Keystone State. Biden and Trump were statistically tied 43-42. But now with Harris, it's a blowout. It's Trump 65 to 31. 65. He's up almost 35 points. And by the way, the same trend is hitting deep blue Minnesota as well. It's one of the reasons why deep blue Minnesota ain't so deep blue no more. It's very competitive right now. Biden was running away with it, 46 to 26. But now with Harris and their own Governor Walz on the ticket, Trump has an even bigger lead than that. It's 59 to 37. This is why Kamala is now officially weaker than even Hillary Clinton was back in 2016 when she almost lost Minnesota. The latest Mason-Dixon poll has this contest to within 5. Again, in a state that hasn't voted Democrat since 1980, or didn't even vote. What am I saying? It even voted Democrat in 1984 when every single other state voted red. All 49 states went Republican with Reagan. Kamala is officially weaker than Hillary Clinton was in Minnesota, in a state that has voted Democrat even in 1984. And the reason for that is, again, at least Clinton was still getting a significant number of these Teamsters votes. The working class did indeed largely defect in 2016 over to Trump, shockingly so. It caught the Democrats completely off guard. But Hillary still had support, say, in the high 30s, so she could still add to her margins. But Kamala's support is dropping, at least nationally, into the 20s among the working class vote. I mean, that's fatal. The margins that Trump is racking up here are just too big. Now, at the same time, we're also getting word that the state of Maine is on the verge of collapsing for Kamala. Again, Barris and Barnes were talking about internal polling in both campaigns showing that Maine is neck and neck. It's within the margin of error. Gang, this is New England. It's where I'm from. This is the bluest part of the country. And make no mistake, if Maine falls, New Hampshire will most likely fall. I assure you, November 5th will be a very early night if Maine and New Hampshire go for Trump. That will be a harbinger of a colossal campaign implosion for Harris. Again, even if she squeaks by with a razor-thin win, that itself will be a comparable harbinger of what we can expect in states like North Carolina and Pennsylvania that vote consistently to the right of New Hampshire and Maine. And Virginia as well, by the way, which is also polling to within the margin of error. And now we've got Minnesota. I mean, it's unbelievable. Minnesota, Virginia, New Hampshire, Maine. All right. A word of caution here. This all could change, and you know that. I know you guys know that. I know everybody's very cautiously optimistic here, but I do want to state that. All things could change here. We've still got 40 days to go. We never know what's going to happen, especially with a possible October surprise. But right now, as we speak, whether it's the polling, whether it's the voter registrations, or whether it's the early voting, Trump is absolutely crushing it. And the Kamala campaign is in total disarray, and it may indeed be too late for them to recover.